You're listening to Bizarre Buffet, a podcast of all-you-can-eat weird. I'm your host, Mark Torriello.
I'm Jen Wilson.
And I'm Mark Bluestein.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
When we first went in, one of the people said, "Who are you?" And Tex said, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business."
Hey,
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Bonjour.
how's it going?
How are you?
You doing good tonight?
I'm feeling a little bloated.
Oh, you're feeling a little bloated?
Yeah, me too. I had some potato chips in between recordings. So what was it? The salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar.
Plus, I made the rainbow cupcakes.
Oh, yes, we had some really yummy, delightful rainbow cupcake. So good, Mark. I'm so proud of your baking skills.
Yeah, it's the only thing I know how to bake.
Well, hey, you know what? At least it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yummy. Mm-hmm. Delicious.
Always.
Ooh.
Them cupcakes be lit.
Lit cake.
Lit cakes.
Oh, Jen Wilson's bringing us on a horny adventure.
What's our topic? I'm so jazzed.
Well, before I introduce the topic, I have a question for both of you.
Ooh.
So it's kind of a two-part question that you kind of have to answer together. Have you ever known a set of twins, and what was their dynamic like?
Well, I didn't know a set of twins, but I knew these sisters, Kirsty and Allie. I shit you not.
Oh my God, Kirsty and Allie. Okay,
Yeah, and-
continue.
yeah, like-
Kirstie Alley.
Yeah, exactly. And I asked them, I was like, is that a joke? And they were like, not amused by me thinking it was a joke.
Oh my God.
But they were very similar. They might have been like fraternal twins.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, how was their dynamic together?
Like very close, it seemed, from what I could gather.
I knew a set of identical twins when I was in high school. They were normal. Like, they were very nice. They were, like, a little bit on the nerdier side.
Yeah.
But how were they with each other?
I don't really know.
You don't know? You don't remember?
Yeah. I feel like it's rare to encounter a set of identical twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Gonk and I are identical, but you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I used to work at a school where I worked with a set of twins. I can't say their names. Their names rhymed with one another.
Oh.
Like Phil and Lil.
Yeah.
Weird.
Like that, okay? They were identical. They had like rhyming last names. Then they also dressed like identical at school.
Really?
And the only way you could tell the difference between the two of them was by the tone of their voice.
Oh, God, I would be so fucked. I would not.
Right?
I would not know what's going on.
That's how I was able to tell the difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have to be pretty dialed in for that because I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their dynamic was so weird. It was like they would tattle on each other, but then they would defend each other. It was really weird.
It's very unhealthy.
It was like a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
I knew another set of twins who kind of had a love-hate relationship. I think they're okay now.
Yeah.
But like,
The Olsons?
yes, the Olsons. No, but back in the day, it was always kind of like butting at the heads type of thing.
Okay.
But anyway, I never heard of the story that we're talking about tonight until I went to the movies a few weeks back and I saw a trailer for this film that's coming out this year, which is titled The Silent Twins.
The Silent Twins.
About sisters named June and Jennifer Gibbons who barely talked to anyone but each other for 30 years.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Right? So June and Jennifer were born in 1963 at a military hospital in Yemen where their father had been deployed. They were identical twins. Their births were not unusual. There was nothing weird about either of them. But not long after their birth, they moved from Barbados to England. They were also part of the Windrush generation, which was essentially people immigrating to the UK between 1948 to 1971 from Caribbean countries.
Okay.
So it was like not the time to be an immigrant living in England. And it was not a good time for these twins either.
Were they black?
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once they've reached speaking age, their parents started to realize that they were far behind the rest of their peers. They spoke English at home, but they kind of spoke their own private language that only the two of them could understand.
Oh, twin language. That phenomenon that people talk about.
That's
They're
kind of cool.
yeah.
I like that.
I know.
It's believed that what they were speaking was a sped up version of what is called Ba Creole, which is a mix of English and Creole together.
Oh, wow.
Kind of like Spanglish.
Okay.
Like going in and out of Spanish and English.
Okay.
But not only did they feel isolated in school because of the color of their skin, but they were very much bullied. School would actually dismiss them earlier than the rest of the students, thinking it would help them get home and not be followed and bullied on the way home
Oh,
after
that's
school.
terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad they tried to help them, but that's awful.
But the school should have held those kids accountable.
Yes.
Absolutely. Around this time that all of this bullying was happening at school, they became very inseparable, the two of them, and only communicated with each other, which
In their language that they
Yes.
sped up and yeah.
which they were given the name the Silent Twins.
Oh, wow. That's kind of rad.
They would only speak to each other. They refused to read or write in school and would sometimes mirror each other's actions.
And can I ask in what way? Like, how do they mirror
Like
their actions?
mannerism type of things.
So
Got
it's
it.
like if I
Like
move
hand
right,
gestures, yeah.
if I move right, you move right.
Yep.
Okay.
So basically, they moved in unison
Yeah.
at times. Mm-hmm. Well, that's very bizarre.
So
That is very.
you both make a valid point. Even the school staff started to witness this bizarre behavior. When it came to like the yearly school health checks,
Oh boy.
the like equivalent to the school nurse stated that like the two of them would be doll-like, having no reaction
What?
to being examined, like would just sit there lifeless.
Oh my
Well, I
god.
guess it would be an easy exam for the nurse then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could have been doing her a favor.
So this particular individual wound up notifying a psychologist who insisted that the girls enroll in therapy.
Okay.
They saw numerous doctors and they still refused to speak to anyone but each other.
Wow. So even with all of the additional help and like trying to get other people involved,
Yeah.
they still just did their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
So finally, the decision was made to separate them. They were both sent to two different boarding schools
Okay.
in the hopes that this would break this weird cycle. It was kind of anticipated that this would help them to socialize and come out of their shells, but it did not.
Okay. It sounds like a good idea of sorts in theory because you're like, well, we're trying all these things.
Yeah.
So-
No, absolutely. But both of the girls actually became catatonic. It was reported that it would take two people just to get June out of bed. She would just sit against the wall motionless.
So like to physically lift her or get her out of the bed. Oh wow.
Yep.
Oh shit.
They kind of started to realize that this wasn't working. The girls were finally reunited. However, they only communicated with each other. They also isolated themselves in their bedroom, and if they needed to speak to their parents, they would write so in letter.
Well, now we're at the extreme phase of where they're not really talking, they're catatonic, and so the only means of communication is letters.
Correct.
Oh shit. This is wow.
Do we know like the age range they're at this point?
I want to say at this point, they're probably early teens.
That's what I was gonna.
Yeah.
There was a journalist, Marjorie Wallace, who was covering the story and had this to say about their living arrangements.
Jealous,
Spill the
Marge.
tea.
Yeah,
Yes, all
Marjorie.
right, she's gonna spill the tea. So she says, I saw their parents and they took me upstairs and they showed me in the bedroom lots of bean bags filled with writings, exercise books. And what I discovered was that while they had been in that room alone, they had been teaching themselves to write. I put the books in the trunk of the car and took them home. And I couldn't believe this, that these girls, to the outside world, hadn't spoken and had been dismissed as being zombies, had this rich, imaginative life.
Oh my god. So they had their own world. I mean,
Yeah.
it's implied by the fact that they were just communicating with each other, but I mean, it goes so much deeper, it seems.
They started doing things like playing with dolls and like role playing with dolls.
Okay. Like kids do.
Yeah, writing fantasy stories. And then they would record down and share sometimes with their younger sister. After being gifted journals, they would just continue to write and write and write and write and write. They really developed a passion for writing that even at 16 years old, they actually put their money together and took a mail order writing class.
Wow.
Cool.
They did. Wow. They did a lot of stuff secretly.
But I wonder how a mail order writing class would have
I
worked.
don't know how that would have worked.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good question.
Because it was like, I'm sure it's before internet time,
Yeah.
so you're not doing
It's
like.
probably like you're given like a book and a workbook and you have to do it and then probably turn it back in and then like that's considered
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
credit. I don't know.
sounds-
Yeah, I might benefit
Sounds
from
logical.
that today. Yeah, maybe I'll look for one.
I don't know. Because of this writing, they began to publish their stories, but the stories were a little bit problematic.
Oh boy.
I hope they're dark.
Oh, I can't wait. I hope we get details.
So most of their stories, for whatever reason, took place in the United States, predominantly in Malibu.
Wow, interesting choice. Okay.
Yes, and it was always revolved around an attractive young person who like always committed some harsh crime. So
Wow,
their
okay.
one novel, The Pepsi Cola Addict, was about a teen who was seduced by his teacher. It's like a homosexual erotic
Cool.
novel.
Wow, open-minded twins.
I like them.
Yeah.
The book was actually published.
Oh my.
So
Patreon, please.
We have to read it.
I need an Amazon wish
I
list.
don't know how easy it is to get it because it's like you type it in. We'll have to look later. But
Yeah, this is a sidebar.
this might be something that you
investigation.
might have to like
Yeah.
Do a real deep dive.
do like
Well,
an eBay.
Yeah.
Well, let us know if we find it. Would you like an audiobook read by all of us for Patreon? Let us know.
Let us know about the Pepsi Cola Addict.
Yeah.
They started to get bored after a while and they really wanted to see the outside world. So they began drinking, doing drugs, and they started committing petty thefts.
Cool.
So like vandalism, theft,
Rock and roll.
rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
They were then sent to the Broadmoor Hospital, which
Oh.
was a high security mental health facility.
That's a notorious one.
They were treated with high doses of antipsychotic medicine, which actually caused Jennifer at one point to have blurred vision.
Oh shit. Oh.
A diary entry from June states, "We got 12 years of hell because we didn't speak. We had to work hard to get out. We went to the doctor. We said, look, they wanted us to talk. We're talking now. He said, you're not getting out. You're going to be here for 30 years. We lost hope, really. I wrote a letter to the Home Office. I wrote a letter to the Queen asking her to pardon us, to get us out, but we were trapped."
Oh boy.
So the queen wasn't that great after all. Suckers.
Call the Sex Pistols.
Unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion.
Well, finally, in March of 1993, the girls were transferred to a lower security facility, which was located in Wales, which is like directly next to England
Okay.
on the same island.
Okay.
So upon arrival, Jennifer was pronounced dead at 29 years old.
Oh, one of the twins.
Yes, due to a sudden inflammation to the heart.
Oh.
So to this day, her death still remains a mystery because there was no proof of drugs or poison in her system.
Oh shit.
This is where it starts to get bizarre, buffet.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh god, I can't wait.
So after Jennifer's death, June immediately began to speak to everyone, like as if she spoke to them her whole life.
Oh, weird.
Okay?
Oh my god.
She was soon released from the hospital and then went on to just like live a regular normal life.
So like everything had just like suddenly changed.
Yes, but the journalist who I discussed earlier, Marjorie Wallace,
Yeah.
she did a deep dive into their journals.
Oh, go for it, Marge.
And
yes, Margie.
she learned that there was a little bit of hatred towards each other.
Oh.
This is from an article that I found on allthingsinteresting.com
I love that site.
regarding Marjorie and her research on the twins.
Oh my god, Marge, go for it.
For the most part, Wallace noticed June seemed to be more fearful of Jennifer, and Jennifer seemed to be the dominant force.
Evil twin.
In the early stages of their relationship, Wallace continually noted that June seemed to want to speak to her, but subtle clues from Jennifer seemed to stop June. So pretty much,
She was like, shut up with her eyes.
June's like trying to wants to talk to this woman, and Jennifer's like, fuck you.
Yeah, she's like, if you open your goddamn
So then
So she was controlling as hell.
she was controlling as
Yeah.
hell. But then
boy.
it goes on to say that as time went on, that attitude appeared to continue. Throughout her relationship with the silent twins, Marjorie would note June's apparent wish to distance herself from Jennifer and Jennifer's domineering ways.
Oh goodness.
And our girl Marge also states,
Love Marge.
I know, I've got a couple of Marge statements for
love
you.
it.
I took my daughter in and we went through all the doors, and then we went into the place where the visitors were allowed to have tea. And we had quite a jolly conversation to begin with. And then suddenly in the middle of the conversation, Jennifer said, Marjorie, I'm going to have to die. And I sort of laughed. I sort of said, what? Why are you going to have to die? You're not ill. And she said, because we've decided. At that point, I got very, very frightened because I could see that they meant it.
Oh.
So Marjorie realized that day that these girls have been preparing for one of them to die for a while.
Oh my God.
And it seemed that they both came to this conclusion that one of them had to die so the other one could live.
Well, that's on them.
I mean, yeah.
That's a them problem.
It is, but I mean,
It sounds.
I'm assuming all of this developed in their hyper connected, non-talking phase. I don't know.
Marjorie, though, also noted that she visited June a few days after Jennifer's death and, said that she was in really good spirits.
Yeah, I bet she
would
was.
be
She's
too.
like, let freedom ring.
Willing to talk. From that moment on, she said it seemed like she was a completely different person.
Oh, I'm glad for her, but I'm also sad for her.
She also told Margie how Jennifer's death opened her up to allow her to be free for the first time. This kind of sounds very Gypsy Rose Blanchard, doesn't it? Right?
Kind of does.
Yeah.
Free Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
Free Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
Freer.
They decided that once Jennifer did die, that it would be June's responsibility to live for the other. And she did that. June did that. So it's years later. She's still alive. She still lives in the UK, not far from her family. She's back into society. She speaks to anyone who will listen. When asked why she and her sister had committed themselves to being silent for nearly 30 years, June simply replied, we made a pact. We said we weren't going to speak to anybody. We stopped talking altogether. Only us two in our bedroom upstairs. So that is the story of the silent
That's
twins.
fucking creepy.
Isn't it?
That's very unusual.
That is.
I would be curious as to what the younger sister would have to say.
Right?
About.
I think there's a documentary out there somewhere. I think you can pull it up on YouTube.
Okay. Well, I am going to do a search for that. I can tell you that much.
Do it.
I think the darkest thing about this is the fact that Jennifer said she planned on dying, and then on the way over to
She died.
Yeah.
For basically unknown circumstances.
Yeah. It's interesting because there was a study done essentially where people who were healthy essentially who convinced themselves that they were dying, who under tests and surveillance by medical trained professionals, their bodies displayed symptoms like heart rates lowering. There were different things that they exampled essentially.
Yeah.
But they sort of wished it into existence.
Right.
But I see this connection here. So it's for all these years, they had this idea for whatever reason, wherever it came from, it's kind of irrelevant. But I mean, I suppose it's a possibility.
But to effectively pull it off and actually die, that's
impressive.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe impressive is a bad word. I don't know.
Or do you think maybe did they do an autopsy?
I didn't see anything about an autopsy because remember it said that there was nothing in her system to prove that it was drugs or
So they must have done something then.
like drugs or any sort of like poison.
Because I was thinking, maybe if she was in a hospital, maybe she was hoarding medication, and then on the way over, she was like, "This is my moment," and she chugged a bunch of pills, and that was it.
I could see that in theory, but I think with what Jen said, I think, in my opinion, what's implied is that they did do tests.
Yeah.
And they didn't find
anything.
a logical or scientific reason like that. But that is a good theory.
Yeah.
It is. But
if they did an autopsy,
they
and they were like,
obviously
"There's
did
nothing,"
some
then
kind.
obviously that's moot.
Yeah.
But it's like some really interesting shit.
It is.
How they were able to get away with that for 30 years.
That's fascinating.
That like not even like psychiatrists and psychologists and therapists couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Well, Jen, I love that so much.
That was really fascinating.
Yeah. If you want to see
y'all.
Jen and I dress as twins on Patreon, let us know. Patreon.com/Bizarre Buffet. And we're going to do journal writings and you're going to watch us for hours.
For 30 years.
And then Mark's going to come in as Margie and he's going to fix it.
He's going to fix it all.
Yeah.
And I'll capitalize.
And he'll capitalize on us,
So, support us on Patreon.
Yeah.
It helps keep our internet going.
Yeah, it helps keeps our
And we
hosting
love you
afloat.
all
And we
so
do.
much.
We do, dearly.
We also have a YouTube channel where you could see us in the flesh.
Yeah, you may be watching us right now. Hi.
And
Hi.
also follow us on Instagram.
Facebook.
And also,
BizarreBuffet.com.
Yep, bizarrebuffet.com. And, tell all your friends and enemies about
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
Yeah.
Tell your grandma. Tell your great grandma.
Tell your dead grandma
Tell your
via
grandma.
a Ouija board.
Absolutely. Bring the laptop to the cemetery.
my
Put it on the
God.
grave. Say,
Yes,
Grandma,
do
listen
it
to
all."
this podcast. Anyway, with that being said, I'm one of the twins.
And I'm Mary Kate Olsen.
And I'm the gay boy that is the Pepsi Cola addict that slept with his teacher.
I'm so
my
jealous
God.
I didn't pick that one.
I know, you're so jealous, but you know what? Pepsi Cola addict.